Thank you for your patience as we were getting all started. I'm Maria Wolf. I'm your City of Albuquerque Homeless Innovations Officer is my title. But what I get to do is work with this group every month. And so we try to start on time, we try to end on time, we try to stick with our agenda. And we always kick off with community communication guidelines. And I usually have them written in my sloppy handwriting and I print them. So it's our first communication guideline is that we're hard on issues, but easy on people. Because it's 6:30 on a weeknight and we're all here doing this, right? We all care enough to be here. So we're hard on issues, but we're kind to each other. We listen to learn, we seek to understand. So if somebody uses the wrong grammar or the wrong word, we try to understand what they're trying to say instead of just getting stuck on that. We respect the speaker, but we also respect the listener. So when somebody's speaking, we try not to speak at the same time, but if you've had a chance to ask a number of questions, we try to go give somebody else a chance to ask questions too. So it's kind of that step up, step back to let somebody else step up. We stay on topic to respect the agenda because we only have an hour and a half. And sometimes we need a lot more time than that. And then we just try to be kind and have some fun. And there are snacks back there and we hope that you'll eat them because otherwise I have to carry them back. And that's never a good thing. Is there a communication guideline that any of you like to have in a meeting that isn't reflected in this set? Yes. Don't talk with your mouth full.
Don't talk with your mouth full. But I try to record these for the record, and I'm sorry that I didn't get you the link for last month's. But if you want to be heard, speak up and don't mumble.
Oh, we need to eloquate clearly and loudly. Okay, that's if you want your voice heard clearly on the recording. If you don't want to be heard, you can just mumble. So it's up to you. But Mike, thank you very much for being our person for all of these meetings. And I know that Mike's been dealing with some stuff, so I know he'll get us the link for the last month's recording. And thank you all for your patience last month because I was out sick, I think, and I didn't get to be with you guys. So we'll stay healthy now. So I want to do quick introductions so that everybody knows who's here. And then we're going to have our lieutenant just have a chance to talk with you real quick. And then we're going to send him on his way so he can do the lieutenancy work instead. Right?
Well, it was just a shooting, so.
Do you need to?
No, not yet.
Okay. All right. Introduce yourself first then. Why don't we start with you in case you're home.
Okay. So I'm Lieutenant Johnson with APD. So you guys like vested interest in the community in this area, so I appreciate that. It's a lot of time and effort for you guys as well. So I'm basically here to answer any questions. I think the program within Gateway is a great program that we have, a great resource. I know my officers use them a lot when we can. There was a concern that was brought up in the last meeting about a bus stop and maybe drug dealing or something of that nature, I believe. I actually asked some of the officers when they drive here to see anything, and most of the officers say, well, compared to like, I mean, all relative, right? But like when they drive through the neighborhood or in the parking lot, as people hanging, maybe around a bush or something like that. But I'm here to address any concerns you guys have or any comment. Does anyone have any about the Gateway or this property here that they would like done?
So he was with us at the district 6 meeting.
He reported.
And so so if any of you were in that meeting, he already put the things that came on that night. We asked if he could come or somebody from the command because of concerns expressed about the bus stop specifically. So if anybody has any specific details about that, what time you're seeing it, that would be helpful.
It's reported to me when clients come and go.
So honestly, at this time, there's not a time specific that people are coming and going here because They are arriving on the backside, mostly through the first responder.
But there is a network of cell phone communication. People will say what they say. And I think the other area was San Pedro, wasn't San Pedro,
The art or the art, they're on the central and San Pedro, is there?
Oh, yeah, San Pedro, Central, Louisiana Central,
Yeah.
like that whole corridor.
That whole-
Like-
books, I mean, they're business people, you know, they know how to market their.
Oh, okay, so farther around central, I'm sorry, I had thought that it was a bus stop right here on the Gibbs.
That was
No.
mentioned as well.
Oh, was it?
It was. Yes,
Yeah.
it was mentioned.
Okay,
So what times you guys seeing the people here at the bus stop? Do you believe are possibly doing things?
This was reported to me by 4 constituents who were driving by. I believe Michael Ryan verified it. That I drive that road all the time, and I've
yes,
seen it myself. Who's not here, but he's vice president of Elder Homes, so he's a very reliable source.
I just don't remember the time frame of the day.
well, if we could come back to that, even if you send it to me, we can get it forward on to each commander. Does that sound?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I mean, if there's a problem there, then let's take care of it.
I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that when you have a concern, we're making sure that we're paying attention and getting it out.
Lieutenant, the larger question is the public safety zone around the hub. I get any officer of any neighborhood association gets a lot of calls that is not being adequately taken care of, supervised. And homeless folks are everywhere. You go to the restaurant across the street, Copper Canyon, and you talk to Michelle, she's at her wit's end. They're in her garbage can in the back. They're at the service station across the street on the east side. They're on Eastern, up and down Ortiz, almost adjacent to the ACS building. And, you know, people are, you know, they just had it. And I know you have certain limitations, ACS has certain limitations, but the issue is the public safety zone is not being adequately enforced.
Okay, and what is, can you give me a
To remove
definition?
homeless encampments
Okay,
and
well,
to make sure pedestrians are safe and children are safe. The example, unfortunately, is the walkover. I'm under the impression that it's been difficult to provide security for the walkover, so they locked it off. And then they put, and I believe our hawk lights are around $200,000.
They're 700.
Okay. So even worse, so they put a hawk light in right next to the walkover. And it's in that approximate area. Some illegal activity has been seen. And, you know, it just, you know, we decided something called the good neighbor policy. And the most, correct me if I'm wrong, the most important concern was public safety. And people still don't feel as safe as they should.
well, in terms of the encampments, like that's one of the things we're really pushing. If we see an encampment, we have the ability to take that down and possibly give them a citation if they don't want to move their stuff. But in terms of just being homeless and in the area, that's not necessarily a crime all the time.
It's not.
Now, like in this case, going into the business, now, if the business owner does not want them in, then it becomes a crime, maybe a criminal trespass, stuff like that.
It is posted.
Yeah, so I would recommend to your friend, if they don't want those people in there, you need to call 242 cops, and it takes one criminal trespass for that each person. Now, sometimes it might, the call might hold a while because it's the southeast, but that would be the first advice that I would give to your friend, that she has to start documenting this, and once they're issued the CT, then every time they go over there, it's either a citation and or jail.
And you're right, and we have personal responsibilities, but she runs a restaurant. She's usually short-handed. And I've talked to her one-on-one over coffee, and she said, you know, we've given up. And so the District Six Small Business citizen response to homelessness, because we don't really see a policy, is to build fences. So when you go look across, even here, even in this facility, they're building fences. When you go across the street, you see brand new fences all around. And of course, you can't, you know, it's a complicated matter. That's what I'm getting at. And the excuses are becoming wearisome from City Hall. And I believe everybody, well, I should say everybody, I support PD, period. I back you up. I support you 100%. I think you're doing a great job. You know, it's very complicated.
Thanks so much. I mean, we're 15 minutes into the meeting. This wasn't part of our initial agenda. It's just that since Lieutenant was willing to come and talk about the drug dealing issue, we started off with that. If you've had a shooting, you probably can't.
Yes, I actually have to get going, but thanks for your time, okay?
Thank you.
And I appreciate you guys that are always here. Like, I'm pretty surprised.
Yeah, so thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for the time tonight, sir.
Lieutenant Johnson,
Thank
you have a card?
I do not, sir.
Okay. Here's mine.
Oh, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and go around the table and get introductions so everybody knows who's at the table, because we do have new faces tonight. So you want to kick it off, Mike? Or do you want me to start somewhere else? I always start out with
Not
you.
really, but I will. I ran out of my little handout right over here with Wally, I believe. So sorry if you don't have it, but I'm a community member. I have been here for half my life, 30-some, too many years. I used to live down in on base right down the street. I live just north of Fairgrounds, and I am actively engaged in trying to help our homeless population so that everybody feels safe and sees more prosperity. So I try to record these meetings. I'm hoping that I wasn't so flustered that I didn't get things set up tonight. 2 months ago, I had half the meeting with video but no audio. I apologize for that.
Oh, we'll forget.
This last month, I will get the link to Maria, and if this is a good recording tonight, this one will be to her tomorrow morning too, so that you can at least have some sense of what was covered in the meeting, other than what you write down in your notebook.
Thanks, Mike. Janet?
Janet Simon, Parkland Hills Neighborhood Association President.
Super.
Good evening, Pete Filetto, District Six.
Thanks, Pete.
Chuck Holman, author of 7 Steps to Ending Homelessness, which is not that difficult. Got a problem, solve it.
That's right. Kapana?
Alpina Adair, CPC lead for Southeast.
Super cute.
Mary Converse, Parkland Hills Neighborhood Association member. Teresa Cleason from EAQNA, over Homestead.
Hey, welcome, Teresa.
Sandra Correa, President of Elder Homestead and Vice President of D6.
Natalie Vargas, co-chair for Southland Paper Neighborhood Association.
Shatrice Lewis, Executive Director of USA Collaboration and Housing for People with Disabilities Representative for the Albuquerque Affordable Housing Committee and member of the Bernalillo County Behavioral Health Education and Awareness Council.
Wally Book, living in Parkland Hills. Thank you.
Flora Lucero, I am the new Gateway Systems Analyst, and the office is right there.
Can you, I didn't catch your first name. Flora Lucero?
Yeah.
Yep.
Angelo Metzger, I'm the code compliance manager for the planning department with the city of Albuquerque.
Super, let's go to the back.
Wait, say your title one more time.
What's that?
Say your title one more time.
Code compliance manager?
Code Complaints Manager, yeah.
All
Talk
the-
to you
all
today.
the words.
I hear a mumble.
I'm gonna complain now.
Got it on
Thank
the
you.
recording now.
I know.
Okay, go back.
Daniel Vargas and resident of the southern and California.
Okay, well, yeah.
John Comstock, Parkland Hills Neighborhood Association, and Parkland Village, hoping people age in place.
Great.
Super. Patty Wilson, Victory Hills, and District 6.
Hillary Malu, board member of Fair West Neighborhood Association.
Great. Jennifer McDonald, Gateway Operations Officer.
Shay Gray, field representative for Melanie Stevens.
Everybody here, responsive, see them.
Super, we got everybody. Okay, so and I'm Maria. I work with Health Housing Homelessness. And the next thing we have on our agenda is a presentation from code enforcement. But before we do that, just real quick, we have stuff that we have at each of these meetings, and I just want to make sure that you all see it and get a chance to review it. We have the 311 report of calls for service on the issues that you guys asked for the monthly reports with the comparison points. We also have the APD reports for service, and so that information is there. We aren't like running through all of that because you have the data, you can take a look at it. But when you're going through these, if you have questions that you would like asked and answered or addressed at the next meeting, like let me know and we can make that an agenda point for the next meeting when you look at it. Okay. And then I forgot to distribute, but I do have the report from the Gateway Women's Center that is going around today as well. And if you want to just hand that around to everybody, that'd be great. And I did want to make sure that you know that Flora is new on the staff here. She has stepped into the position previously held by Jasmine Moreno. And the New Mexico Coalition to End Homelessness stole Jasmine away to run our Built for Zero program here in the city. And so we're lucky to get Flora.
Yes, we are.
Great
Good hire.
experience. It is, isn't it? Yeah. So Flora is great with statistics, and then we're just delighted to have her here because she brings a wealth of experience in our city and our community. So we're glad she's here with us. So yeah.
Maria, I know you just said bring this up next time, but I have a really quick question. I don't know if Flora could answer it about this data. I was actually kind of surprised to see that the type of calls that are most common in this area are violent crimes, because I just told someone the previous day it's not a violent area, it's just a lot of property type crime from addicts.
You're looking at the APD one. So that's for the southeast area.
Okay,
Yeah.
can anybody tell me whether item 2 and item 8, which are both 21, are they double entered or is that just coincidental?
You know what, I just realized.
Family dispute and aggravated assault battery, did they get categorized under 2 different categories, or are those 21 separate, 42 separate? Here's what I'm talking about. So
Yeah, family dispute here.
21 of those is I'm just wondering if one incident got coded as 2 different things, or if we're having 42 different calls there.
That would be a question for the folks who are pulling that data. So I'll make note of
I didn't know if anyone
And-
here had pulled
Yeah.
that or might know.
No,
Laura Marie?
well, Laura oversees, like, she's the crime prevention specialist who's usually at these meetings, and because of course the one she's not at when the question comes up like this. But if you recall, when we determined what data we wanted to ask, there's actually a team of they work in the
The real-time crimes.
yeah, the RTCC, and then there are the analysts that do the actual numbers for us. So I'll just make sure that I can ask them that question, Carrie, and get an answer back to see if it's the same, like if I'm guessing you have within one call for service, you have a domestic violence and aggravated assault. That's a guess I'm having, but it may be separate. So it just, yeah, they usually kind of go together, unfortunately. So,
I mean, to her point, family dispute is, to be honest, it's a little bit of a nebulous category. I would suggest drilling down into something more
Yeah.
specific.
it's
So,
helpful to
The
know.
dispute could be battery, but it could not be battery, but to her
Yeah.
point, they look exactly the same, but.
Yeah, I'll just
could
find
be-
out if they are separate or if
Dispute
they
is,
can
to me,
overlap.
it could be a misdemeanor or a felony, so I think you probably wanna drill
Yeah.
down and call it family battery, family argument, family misdemeanor, I don't know.
Right, so,
Yeah.
so part of it is probably that you have the aggravated assault with the DV, but they're just trying to call out that some of these are DV because that's not like a random thing that happened as you were walking down the street. That's within a family unit. So it's just a different
Sure.
context
But
in
family
terms of.
dispute, I'm a writer,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
So
no, it's a
dispute
good
to me is
question.
way too nebulous, it needs to be family, what did you call it just a minute ago?
DV.
Violence, yes, domestic violence.
Yeah,
is what
domestic
the
violence,
category
when
used to
it's,
be.
yeah,
Domestic but dispute could
yeah.
be, hey, I argued because he didn't mow the lawn today,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
anyway, enough of that, but yeah.
yeah.
Because it's really important, these are important data points and we need to drill down
And-
really specifically.
Very
Fair
good.
point.
So we will clarify that
Good point.
and try to get an answer at this meeting. Thank you, Karen. Any other big questions at this point? Yeah, John.
Yeah, on this October 2024 exit destinations. There's 75 exits and 61 are labeled other destinations. What would that include? It seems like that's the vast majority.
Other destinations, I don't know, but I can find out. Laura, do you have any idea?
No,
And well, we can find out from Arias what that is. I mean, that's a big number.
Yeah.
Good question, John. Thank you.
Would that be somebody's couch, perhaps?
It could be that they placed him with the family. It could be, that,
Church?
no, I mean, I don't know. We'll see if we can get some more clarity on what that means.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So I was just looking around the room in case anybody else was here from heading home, but they're not. And so we'll try to get a clearer answer on that. We've asked that they are at this meeting at least once a quarter since they can't come every month. So we'll see if December is going to be the month that we can get them to come in and clarify things again. Okay. Any other burning questions tonight? Then let's get on with code enforcement. Yeah,
Can I sit, stand, what do you prefer?
Stand.
Stand, all right, you got it.
So we got,
Oh, you got it, I was gonna.
do you want them over here closer to Mike? I can trade seats with them. Okay,
Okay, so my name's Angelo Metzger. Like I said, I'm the code compliance manager for the city of Albuquerque with the planning department. Do everything from the IDO, which is Integrated Development Ordinance, Uniform Housing Code. We monitor all those substandard properties that we hate to see in our neighborhoods and try to keep them secured and free of trespassers. We monitor vacant lots, some of them where the encampment's set up or the weeds grow or whatever, and we try to maintain those properties and keep them clean. One of the things that we are now doing it's been a game changer is rather than going to a criminal process with our IDO violations, we're now doing a civil enforcement process, which goes through our Office of Administrative Hearings. And through that process, we can now find the properties when they don't come into compliance or there are violations. And you know what? If you hit their pocketbook, nothing gets people to comply quicker than hitting their pocketbook. And so they are learning, and I think that word is spreading because as soon as people get that notice now, we're seeing quicker compliance, which it's unbelievable how much it's changed the enforcement process for us. I mean, before we would go to court and they would say, they got 90 days. The judge would give them 90 days and then we're like, oh. And meanwhile, the whole neighborhood is suffering from this. So now we have that. The second thing is we took the demolition process out of city council before we would have to take any substandard property that was a drain on city resources, but it's attracting crime, things of that nature, fires. We now can do that through the Office of Administrative Hearing, where we don't have to go to council, where it's in a public forum, where, even though it is public, it's not that big of a public forum where, you get a couple of counselors who, we want to give this person extra time to bring their property into compliance. which we know isn't gonna happen in 5 years probably or longer. We can now take that property to the Office of Administrative Hearing and go through demolition that way. The other thing we have is when there are structure fires, we now send our building complaints investigator out. And what he does, he goes out and determines whether or not the fire was so severe that it's a structural hazard. Once we get that it's a structural hazard, we can take that, give the owner a 10-day letter, you demo it, or we're gonna demo it.
Wow.
And so we're now moving forward with that, which is again, a huge game changer. And the next thing is, guess what we're doing now, which we hadn't done in 25 years, I think it is. We are now foreclosing on properties that have liens over $10,000.
Wow.
We have, I believe we've taken 16 properties already that we have to wait for the redemption period. But they're gonna be ours or they're gonna pay us the money. And so that's another thing we're doing. So please, 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 when we ask for a code, when you talk to your counselor, we want more code enforcement officers. We want more code action. Please ask, because we are moving forward and we're moving at a faster pace than we've ever moved before. I've been with code for about 15 years, and this is something that I'm enjoying. We're not having to go to the same property over and over. We're able to get quick results. Now, does that apply to every property? Obviously not. We have properties that there was an email that was sent with some properties in this area. And some of them, they know the game. They know, I'll wait until the final notice and then I'll get it. Well, guess what's happening? That goes back to the civil penalties. We are now going to take the properties that are habitual violators, and we're not going to even give them a notice. We're just going to send them for the hearing. When they go to that hearing, we're going to say, yeah, they're in compliance, but guess what? They were still in violation at the time of our inspection. We want that fine. And hopefully it changes a little bit of the behavior of the people who don't maintain their property, who don't have courtesy for their neighbors or anything like that. And that's the goal. That's really the goal. We're not trying to fine people. We're not trying to take property. We're just trying to get compliance. And that's our number one goal there at Code. And, I really appreciate this neighborhood. This neighborhood's really vocal and they're really good at reporting things, which is we love, because we can't be everywhere. So we appreciate getting everything and complaints and everything. Keep them coming, because it keeps the staff that's over here busy. I actually have we call them a floater. I don't know a better word, but each area has their own inspector. And so what we did in the southeast, particularly this area, we have someone who monitors it just solo, doesn't get assigned cases, monitors those problem properties that we have, and goes and clears them out, works on finding who the owner is, works on getting those fines done. So that's one thing that's been another game changer that I've installed in that code enforcement there as the manager. And it's to me, I mean, I know you don't see it, or maybe you do, but it's been a change on our side. It really has been a huge change on our side. We're not now with the winter. Yeah, we've had more fires than we like. We had one, we boarded it that day. It was on fire that afternoon on Trumbull. So, I mean, it goes to show you how hard it is. 85-20 Trumbull. So, yeah, so it's up a little bit, but so that goes to show you the challenges we're doing. But we are, I mean, we equipped all our supervisors and a lot of the inspectors with drills. If that board's there, they're now self-securing rather than having to wait for it to get boarded up. It could be a day or two. So those are things we're trying to keep these properties secured. APD has been monumental in giving criminal trespass on our properties when we have them substandard. The encampments, the same thing. When there's no trespassing, we ask APD to go cite them, and they do. There's the property by the gateway or by the ACS that was mentioned. We've cleared that out 3 times now. There've been some felony arrests there, and we had it cleaned. So we're doing what we can. And again, if please, when you talk to your counselor, more code enforcement.
Have staffing vacancies improved?
Yes, actually, they've been the highest. I mean, I have a great group, a great group who enjoys their work. And, it has improved. Right now, we're down 3.
That's good.
Just 3. Yes,
That's good.
when I took over, there were 20. The previous director knocked me down to 15 inspectors for the whole city. He just cut my position. I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, this is a public safety function. And he ended up leaving, going to another department, and now he's no longer with the city. The new director asked me what I needed. I said staff, and he's delivered. Him and the director of planning, they've delivered. They understand the importance of what we do. And I take great pride, and nothing gets me happier than when I see a property that is substandard, that is brought into compliance, and now some family is living. She had her hand up first here.
Yes, she did.
what are you doing with the properties that you don't necessarily want to confiscate, but you will and do? Is there some programmatic aspect to that, to rehab them and maybe house some of the lovely stakeholders who are without shelter?
One of the things that it's always brought up, why can't we get them in, why can't we get these properties into developers or someone who's gonna get, rent them out, rehab them and bring them back into compliance and be a productive property again. We don't own it. So if someone owns it and they just want to hold on to it and not do anything, I mean, there's really nothing we can do but foreclose or demolish it. I mean, unfortunately, that's just it. We can't force sales of property without a court order. And judges, as we know, property rights are a huge thing with the Constitution. I mean, they're protected. So we can't force people to sell their property. But what we can do is try to compel them that, look, either we're going to take it or you're going to sell it, you're going to do something with it. And that's kind of where we're pushing, is to get people to do the right thing. And if they have no interest in the property, then let someone else have it and, redevelop it, build it. So put it back to be a productive property. Well, again, yeah, it's really hard to make people do anything. You really can't make someone do something. It's just the nature of it. That's why we just find the heck out of them, take the property and then get it, and then we'll sell it to nonprofits and whatever we're gonna do with it once we can.
Okay.
Yeah, so yes and no. Yes, we'll take it and we want to, the lots that we have taken, most of them were single family. So we do want to get those back out to a developer and try to get them.
Right, and some of those lots that had liens and then are foreclosed on and taken by the city, they are being considered for housing developments by the folks that are working on housing. So I know that Joseph, the deputy director for housing that met with you guys on sort of the planning about 3 or 4 months back. One of the things he's doing is taking organizations, Habitat for Humanity and other organizations, to see the various sites to figure out, okay, who's going to partner with us on which places.
Are these commercial or residential?
I'm sorry,
Commercial or residential?
The vast
we're
majority,
working on residential.
vast majority of residential,
And they're neighborhoods.
yes. The vast majority are.
So you could, so if there's a dilapidated property on my street, you're saying, hey, I can come in, take it, foreclose it, if they haven't complied in a number of years, and then sell it to possibly a nonprofit.
That is the whole.
But here's why I'm asking the question. You're talking about selling it to a nonprofit, but what if it's a residential neighborhood?
Yeah, again, it's gonna have to meet zoning and everything, so it'll probably be, if it's an R1 district, it's gonna have to be a single family home.
And
Again.
nonprofits
What about
can develop
R2? Because I'm not clear on R2. Could you explain that mixed use or?
The mixed, you're talking about the mixed use? I don't even think we have one of those right now.
Do in Grove Street and Trumbull Village.
Yeah, and it can be, dependent on the property.
Here's what I'm asking.
I'm sorry.
No, that's really important.
Hold on. We
Okay.
actually have a lot of people who have questions.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, but I haven't asked the question yet. I have a question. This is really important.
Well, how about we table that, we'll come back, And we have one in the back over here, and then we'll come to Janet.
And so I wonder if the process is, because you have more staff, speeding up also for those homes that are actually marked for demolition, like 301 La Guaira.
That'll be down this week or starting early next week.
Demolition?
Mhm.
Oh, my God.
So again, it goes to show you the speed of how we're working.
It's,
I mean,
that's.
I mean, it's almost amazing to hear this news.
Yeah,
Yes, it's been
yeah.
years.
yeah, it's citywide and, and it's just something,
That's what happens to it.
I love the speed of what we work.
Another question, Jeff?
Janet, then I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah, just a quick question, since you mentioned obviously the streamlining to be able to do the administrative hearings. What's a general time frame for that to
Well, and I think here's the kicker. We have not used that time frame, but it would be about 90 days. But here's the kicker. We threaten that, and we threaten once we do it, we're gonna lien your property and foreclose on you. I'll demo it. We had one just this week where the guy did not want to demo his property. We go, well, guess what? We're gonna demo it, and then we're gonna put a lien, and then we're gonna foreclose it. And it was a he owned the house next door, the lot next door with the house, and then he owned that one. So he wanted to replat, do all that stuff. We go, then we're gonna foreclose on it and you're gonna owe us the money. And he was a contractor. So he just said that, so today we went, it was demoing it. So we haven't had to use it, you know, this, like, that's what I'm saying when I say word got around to people that, you know what, they're not kidding, they're taking properties. And people are now, I mean, it's amazing just how quickly people are now understanding, we're not playing around anymore with playing your games. We're now gonna take it to you, and then if you don't do it, we're gonna do it, and then guess what? You're gonna have to get an attorney to file a foreclosure for money you owe. And either pay us or demolish it yourself. And it's cheaper for them to demolish it. So,
Now, you had a follow-up question.
well, we have one back.
Okay,
We have one in the back.
Oh, sorry, Patty, you didn't.
So, Angela, the 2017 vacant and abandoned task force report had a number, I think was 1,500 to like 3,000 vacant and abandoned residential properties. Is there any current update of what that number is?
No, that VAS, are you talking about the VAS
Yeah.
report? Yeah, I was part of that, and I was at council at the time during that time. And that was just a one-time report. I mean, it took so much to get that, it was labor intensive to get all that data. I would say it's probably still the same.
Okay.
One thing is in code enforcement and with vacant and substandards, you're gonna have 5 come off, 5 come on, it's always that. And I would imagine it's the same. It's probably around that same number. It's just so hard because there's a difference. Vacant is vacant. It's fine as long as it's not, no one lives there, but it's secured and not an issue for the neighborhood. But abandoned and not being maintained, that's the issue. That's where people start breaking in, they start, going in, trying to squat in there and things of that nature. And so those are the two different categories, because, someone could live out in, New York, but have a home here that's vacant half the year. Nothing wrong with it as long as it's maintained, but it's when people start breaking in and it's not being maintained is when it becomes a problem. Being vacant, again, isn't against any codes we have, but, when it becomes a nuisance, so to speak, to the neighborhood is when it is. Okay.
I think Chuck, did you have a question on
How do a developer get in touch with the planning department that wants to buy the homes and refurbish it for homeless?
That's a good question, and it's kind of tricky. The one thing I would recommend is it's called the IPRA. I'm sure all of you know what an IPRA is. It's the Inspection of Public Records Act with the state of New Mexico. Put in an IPRA and we'll get that to you. The reason why if one developer we keep giving him all the vacant homes, it looks like we're playing favoritism. We can't do that. We got to be fair to everyone.
You can be served.
Yeah, so that's the way to do it. It's through an IPRA. And it takes, I think we even have a special report already made. So when they ask for it, we just run that report and send it out.
So how do I get a hold of that? Who do I talk to?
You talk to the city clerk.
City clerk.
Yes. And you can actually do it online.
And if you have a condemned property, you've taken it over, I look on the record, I see it. I ask you how much you want, and you say $10,000. I write you a check and it's fine?
Oh, you mean for the ones we took?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that'll have to go through auction, or it's
That's
gonna
what I
be,
thought.
yeah, or it's gonna have to be one of the, again, this is new. We just took them over 3 months ago, I think were the first ones we got. So again, we're still 3-4 months. We're still working through how are we gonna get rid of these properties. We want them to go to low income, moderate income. That's the goal. And so hopefully with all these single family residences that we can maybe get profit with, one of the developers out there who does that. I mean, they have many incentives.
And we learned from Terry Bruner about, is it RFIs, requests for ideas
Yes.
or requests for interest? It can be,
Request for information
information, and they're usually where people bring ideas and interest to the table
Yeah.
for these different kinds of things. So,
and trying to get with the MFA, the Mortgage Finance Authority, things of that nature where, what, if we sell it to you for $1 and you're gonna get it to someone who's needing a home, who's gonna go buy a home, who's going to do your program, perfect. That's win-win. And those are just all the options some of the options that are on the table. But we're still looking into how exactly we're gonna dispose of this and get that be productive again.
So I'm just gonna share a
Yes.
scenario and a perspective.
This is why I'm here tonight for the first time. That's my neighbor Chuck. I respect what Chuck does. Chuck runs, he just bought a home right next door to me. So I'm on Grove, he's on Bell.
Okay.
He's right next door to me and he runs a group home. I'm fine with that. They're nice. They take care of their stuff. They're quiet. Here's what I run into on my street Grove, which should all be residential. Chuck is on Bell. He lives next to a church. He's got apartments. He's got all kinds of commercial stuff going on there. On Grove, it's supposed to be all residential. Here's what zoning has done that I take beef with. Because of housing board, all this, they've turned every nice home. Mind you, I'm a extreme home makeover home. Okay, I got redone, his got redone, mine got redone, next one got beautiful. I mean, this is like it's an oasis in the freaking city, right? Beautiful gazebos, blah, blah. And I thought, God, if we could just all do that on our street, how amazing would that be? Here's what zoning's done. They've taken every house and said, hey, you want to earn a luxury income? Give all our homeless people housing in your rooms. So instead of a house, instead of having these beautiful neighbors where I go, oh, who's your painter? Who's your driveway? Let's have coffee. Let's have wine. No, instead of one family, I've got 6 people living in there, 6 cars, 6 amount of traffic, 6, and it's all the way down. So we've turned every house into my beautiful residential street into an apartment, basically, that we've rented out to all these residents so they can make money. And so here's all I'm saying is please, when you're doing this stuff, I appreciate the homeless need, but be mindful that we have a quality of life and there's different world views and you can't connect necessarily with, you want to, you try, but at the end of the day, if I'm paying as much as I pay in property taxes for where I live, for the convenience of Trumbull Village, which is so conveniently located, it's 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. I love it. I pay for that.
I'm sorry.
Renters
Yeah.
don't pay exactly what are you saying?
Yeah, I'm not
I am
sure.
saying that we should not be turning residential zoned streets into multiple family homes.
No,
We're
see,
turning every home
I would
into an
disagree.
apartment.
That can't be.
That I would
What
disagree
do you
with
mean
that.
they can't be true?
That can't be true.
Yeah.
What
You know,
can't be true?
So,
give me the
okay, hold on,
addresses of
guys.
the ones and I could
Tell me what
definitely.
can't be true. I'm trying to
So-
understand.
No, an R1, a residential neighborhood is one, and then you
What's
can
an
have the
R2? It's an
ADU.
R2.
It's an R2, well, then there is no more R2, so I don't know.
Okay, here's my understanding. Let's say you have an apartment, for whatever freaking reason it got approved, a 6-unit apartment right across the street from me. That you aren't allowed to have that unless there's an apartment next to you, an apartment here, then you can push for an apartment. But I have a standalone apartment right across from me, a 6-unit boutique apartment,
You
Well,
have
too
to give
much
me the
traffic.
address and I could research that for you.
Grove Street and Bell.
Yeah,
So,
I'd have to research that.
we
I
can
would
write
like
it
to
out.
research that.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, that's
I
my
can give
point.
you my
What's
card and
what's
then,
your
yeah.
philosophy on that? So
Oh.
let's say I have a home. What's your philosophy on R2 people renting their homes?
Again, there's no more R2, so I think you're thinking of MXL, which would be mixed use, low intensity.
Again, thank you. We're just gonna do that step up, step back, so
Yeah,
everyone gets a
let me
chance
give you my
to
card,
ask
and I think
other
this is something we can communicate with, and I can kind of go
Perfect.
over the process and
Okay,
everything.
I appreciate that. I really would.
And Sandra had asked and then Laura.
So I'm the one who sent the email to Jeremy.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't know if you all want to get back to me in an email with an answer, that'll be fine.
I have it here, but I will send it to you. What I can say is, some of the ones you're working on are again, moving forward there,
Okay,
so.
yeah, that's all, because some of the notices that were on, a couple of them are like already crinkly and old and
That's the other,
and then they don't,
I'm telling
I don't
people to
know, do you-
replace them.
yeah. Do you all put the dates? I've noticed that all of them don't have the date of when it was there, so we can have some idea.
The initial, no. So
The
it's
initial one.
whenever we put that one, whenever we replace it, or
Right.
if someone rips it off, we have to go replace it, that's the date that's gonna be on there. It's not gonna be the date of the original.
Are you guys talking about like a notice posted?
Yeah, you know,
It's a
the yellows, the
substandard
yellow.
Property, and so the neighborhood knows that it's been posted
Right.
and then the property owner also sees it there?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, because I walked through my entire neighborhood. It took me 2 hours yesterday, but I did it. And I got a list of all those properties in my area that have, some of them are bright yellows, some of them are already white,
Yeah.
falling apart. And so they're just in different stages, and that's why I was just wondering the time frame of it all.
Yeah, and you know what, actually, when you see like the crinkled ones,
Mhm.
generally, that means it's a substandard property, but someone's watching it or it's being maintained, not a lot of break-ins. Because usually people go rip it off
Right.
and get the board, so
Right.
that's kind of a good sign when you see it crinkled. But again, it's not a great site.
Okay, so that was just my,
Okay.
if I could get a follow-up on the.
Absolutely,
that would be
I
great.
got it here, and I'm
Thank
just
you.
gonna tweak a few things and put a little more info in there, and I'll get it to you tomorrow.
To Alpena's point, didn't we have someone in here from zoning who said that, who was encouraging us to, if we had room in the backyard, to build a casita back there so that we can have more
The
renters?
accessory dwelling units.
An accessory
ADUs.
dwelling unit?
Right.
Yeah.
Then what would that zoning be called?
That is now an accessory use to an R1.
Accessory use to an R1.
To an
That may be
R1.
what's happening on.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what it is, but there is no six, you can have one, and that's it, and it can't be attached to the dwelling, but be detached.
And that was passed by the
City council. Yeah, you would need to get with city council who passed that, the administration doesn't set that.
I'm just saying, when you're doing zoning law, consider taxpayers, like the heavy taxpayers.
Talk to your
That are
council.
paying a fortune for taxes, and these are renters that aren't paying taxes and are changing our quality of life.
Talk to your counselor,
Great.
they're the ones who passed that.
And we have another question.
632 Arizona, it's caught on fire 3 times. Do you have any? Cool socks, that's the problem.
Let me,
I told Jeremy about it, but yeah, I showed him the picture that was online from fire department, but it caught on fire twice in 1 week.
you know,
And then they're getting into it through that alley.
Arizona, you said?
Yeah, 632 Arizona.
Okay, and I think that you had more to talk about with the things that you guys were going on, the things that you guys are
Let
working
me
on
get you an
before we
update
got
on
into this, so. Let's get back to the general presentation, and then we'll make sure that we have direct contacts. As you know, Jeremy and Angelo are great about getting emails and getting them on track. So you want to resume your general?
You know, I was pretty much done just going over the new processes that we're utilizing and to bring properties into compliance, which, you know, it's a game changer. I mean, well, but the minute we started sending those, I mean, let me tell you, what was it? It was Family Dollar did not want to bring their property into compliance. It was the one on Yale. We sent them. We got $6,000 out of them, and then they decided to demolish the property themselves. So that goes to.
But here's the thing, I have to come in here, because that Family Dollar did impact me. That was very, very convenient. The one in Southie is very convenient.
No, not that one.
Here's
It's one
what-
on Yale.
because I'm CPC, I'm very focused on crime. And I just want to be careful that we're not punishing people for not maintaining properties or banning them because of crime and drugs. And they just said, hey, enough, I'm not gonna deal with it, so they abandoned it.
They own
And I'm
it, they
just saying,
gotta
instead
maintain
of
it.
punishment, are there incentives that we can give them? Are there
I'm
incentives?
enforcement, I'm not incentives.
Okay, but I think it's unfair, because if I'm a small business owner and I've got a crime problem and I'm gonna say no more, and then all of a sudden I gotta pay 6,000 on top of the police not taking care of my crime.
Counselor.
Yeah,
She is the one that can help you.
and then the other thing
I'm
is
just
too,
saying,
well,
be
you know, just
mindful when we
maintain your
make these
property.
policies and
Just like
zoning,
every
be
other
mindful that
citizen
people are
in Albuquerque, we're asking to do, just maintain it, keep it clean and secure the weeds and.
Then take care of the crime, so they can.
Well, you gotta.
Get rid of the homeless.
It's a
Sometimes they're
balancing
hand in
point.
hand.
Did you have?
No,
I know,
it's
Shanta, I know you're ready to
I
pound
just wanted to thank you
something.
and code enforcement, because I know you guys are put in dangerous situations all the time. Thank you for what you guys
Thank you, I
do.
appreciate that, and I will pass that along to all the staff.
And I just want to step back for a minute here and remind everybody, we have communication guidelines in this room. And we don't attack each other. We talk about the issues, we're hard on the issues, but easy on the people. That's the bottom line that we're doing here. If you have concerns and you have ideas, we want to ask questions, we want to get answers. We want to express concerns, but we don't want to attack each other. Okay, good question.
Another thing to recognize is the number of MRAs in the city's metropolitan redevelopment areas, where certain areas are defined with higher numbers of blighted properties, and there are incentives for developers to come in and do work. And recent example in the University MRA, which extends down Yale and goes east on Garfield for a few blocks. There's a 16-unit townhouse development that's gonna be getting started on an empty lot by the same developer that did the 20-unit project, very successful project over by Highland High School on Jefferson that I think is if it's not full now, it's pretty close to full. Now, of course, a lot of that is market rate stuff, but
But good projects indeed.
Yeah, because as we've said before, what's our vacancy rate here in Albuquerque these days? 3%. That's really low. It's really hard to get people housed when they have financial challenges, when there's so few places available, period. So we're working on that too. Okay, Angelo, anything else?
No, again, just keep up, I got some cards, I didn't bring enough for everyone, sorry, but,
But do you want to just tell them your email?
yes, I can. It's M as in Mary, T as in Tom, ZGAR@cabq.gov.
And if you don't remember, you can always ask me, I will send it.
And please send me all the properties and everything that you,
And don't forget,
You
like
see out there.
311 is also the tracking program where they know exactly how many times that property has been reported. Goes into the 311 reports you're looking at, and they get those reports as well. So that's the most straightforward way to do it, where you don't have to remember, oh, what was his name again? You can just report it on 311. Okay, all right. So Jennifer is going to get her keys and she's gonna take us to the medical sobering center. You had a question? Oh, you want a card? Okay. So if you guys are ready, let's go see the new sobering center. You're getting a sneak preview of it. So let's go see it before we run out of time.
Do you prescribe, like, if somebody's like having a withdrawal, let's say they're detoxing, for example. So you're talking about the sobering center, I'm an alcoholic, I get brought here, and do I get something maintenance?
So the sobering center in this facility fills the gap for what we call medical sobering.
Okay.
So the Harris campus on Zuni does the full detox. And so they do that level. This is for the people who are not stable enough to go to the CARES campus. They end up in the emergency room instead. So our goal is to have a space for that passed out person to get ambulatory to get to CARES.
I see.
So it's not a long-term detox where they're gonna do that kind of stuff. And there is medically assisted treatment and things like that they help people with depending on what the addiction was. But, or is, but this is to get them stable to go to the next step. Yeah.
If I die, if I'm put in detox without access to drugs.
Yeah, some of them
Can die.
some of them.
So it is like.
Yeah, alcohol, definitely.
Wow.
Alcoholism is a very dangerous detox
Yeah.
process. Yeah,
More so than fentanyl?
it depends.
Okay.
Depends.
What do you see more of?
Bye.
Okay.